did.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Public Utilities Commission to order for Monday, June 18, 2018. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first order of business, public input. You're on the agenda, right?
Hoping to get on it, yes.
Oh, hoping to get-
I didn't quite get it on in time for
Oh.
when the agenda went out, so I was going to ask to have an item added to new business.
All right.
I was just going to suggest that after my director's report, or you can add it on there now
No,
if you'd
we
like.
can do that now.
It's related to a affordable housing multifamily project at 10 Nashville Road.
Right, so I'll make the motion that we add to new business item number 1. I'll just put 10 Nashville Road.
That's fine.
Extension.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah. Nashville Road extension. Okay, so is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that carries. All right, so now public input. Right. All right, you're on the agenda.
Great.
Correspondence, anything late coming in? All right. Okay, minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 21st, 2018.
Second.
Who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right, I'll second. All right, any corrections, comments? Notable errors or omissions? Which Kathy never commits.
I was gonna say.
It's just so I could say you never make errors or omissions. All right, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, that carries. Oh, yeah, one abstention. Rich?
I wasn't here.
Okay, financial reports, Bob.
Okay, I handed out the report a few minutes ago. The water department for the month ending 5/31, there was an increase in the deficit from 643 to 675, roughly a $32,000 increase. And then the sewer department also went from a surplus of 52 to a $70,000 deficit, and that's the result really of the payment to the city of Danbury. That represents about $300,000. The details of the water department is on page 1. Revenue was up $268,000, but the expenses were also up $301,000, so that accounts for that $32,000 increase. And if you some of the items I looked at was the contracted services in professional services account 160. It's detailed on page 6, and it's mostly Wright Pierce. Well, it's a combination of D'Amato Construction at $53,000, and then Wright Pierce had a number of invoices for $10,251. Just moving on there, if you go to page 4, the contracted services there is $1,309,000, and that's detailed on the pages 7 through 10, and those numbers are. It's a bunch of different ones. Burns Construction is a large one at 128, and then you have Hydro Technologies, but their total is only like $23,000. Trubu Environmental about 209, Wright Pierce 231, and then Zanilius at 717. So that adds up to 1309. The other item that's in there for capital construction is on page 11, 40,967. And that's Core in Maine. I think that's supplies, and Burns Construction for $30,000. And then just moving on to the sewer department, you can see the revenue was up $384,000, but the expenses were up $624 on the total operation, and the bulk of that is about $300,000 from the city of Danbury that we made the payment, the last payment. The net result, though, when you take out, on this one, it's a little different than water, because we're also collecting sewer debt revenue, and we're making a payment for sewer debt loans, and there's a difference of about $160,000 in there, so that kind of distorts the revenue, the total up above. Because if you're looking at just the net revenue, you see a profit of 89,000, but you really have to take out the sewer debt of 160, and that brings it down to a $70,000 deficit. And you can see on page 13, $1,178,000 is the payment to the city of Danbury. And then there's some details on the contracted services on page 15 of $194,000. And that detail is set forth on page 17. Aquarium's a tiny number. Weston and Sampson's $23,000. JWC Environmental $121,000. Kovacs Construction $40,000, and Cannondale Generator was $6,400. So that's pretty much the report between the two departments.
Bob, what's your projections as the fiscal year is ending June 30th for both departments, based upon the adjustments?
Well, you know, if you look at the water department, there was a lot of construction that took place. So of that 1,441, you'd probably subtract out somewhere around 1.2 and capitalize that. So you're going to have a profitable situation in there. This is strictly cash flow.
Yeah.
You know, the collections in and the disbursements out. And the sewer, even though it's at a $70,000 loss, I mean, the big item is out of it now. There is capital construction in there as well. That's going to be a profitable situation too, because we'll be still collecting residue taxes, so to speak, the use of the sewer and the assessment. So that's going to increase that number to, I'm sure, profitable.
On the water, the 1.44 million in capital improvement. So a lot of that is construction.
Well, yeah, there's a lot. There's legal fees in there, you know, and so you wouldn't, unless they specifically allocated to a specific project, you wouldn't pull that out for capital construction. You know, but the bulk of that is capital construction.
So how much do you estimate off the top of your head?
When I was looking before, I thought it was around 1.2.
1.2?
Yeah.
And, yeah, we're gonna go see, but is some of this or all of this eligible to be put over on the loan side, the DPH loans on the water?
Yeah, yeah.
And when will that occur? So that
Well, you got Hoyt's Hill in there, and we closed on Maple Avenue. We haven't closed on Hoyt's, but and we're making payments on Eureka. So if you look at part of what it's included in the capital improvements, but the debt service payments are in there too, and it's small this year. It's about $45,000
Yeah.
in total.
well, it's a good thing we have a healthy fund balance to absorb the
Well,
cash flows.
I mean, the sewer is in the black.
Yeah.
You know, the water is running in that direction, but we continue to improve the system, so it's costing us funds.
I just wonder when we transfer some of that stuff from the, well, actually, so the way that's gonna work is we actually get revenue in from the state, correct? When
If you
those
look
loans-
at up above,
Yeah,
you see the Maple Avenue Hoyts Hill loan. There was $2.2 million that was collected this year,
yeah,
and then we're making payments on that.
okay. But at some point, we're gonna get reimbursement for, oh, that is, okay,
That's the reimbursement.
yeah, that is. Okay, so it's hard to see why we're running in the black now. Because what other loans are outstanding that we don't have in yet? Is there one for Eureka?
No, Eureka's in here too.
What's in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We that was that was last fiscal year, the bulk of it.
Okay,
So you wouldn't see it here,
okay.
all right, because that closed prior to this year. We closed on, I guess we actually, I thought we only closed on Maple Avenue, but I guess we actually closed on both of them this year.
Okay.
And now Briarcliff is the other one. Briarcliff is the one that's coming out.
And Beach Street.
I haven't seen anything on that, but I know that's happening, but the paperwork came through for Brightwood just recently.
I'm just worried about people looking at this and saying, we're going backwards and continuing to lose money, because that's what it looks like.
Well, if you look at this, this is again cash flow.
Yeah,
But when you take out the capital improvements and you capitalize those assets, you're gonna have, this is gonna be a positive number
okay. And we do that at the end of the fiscal year?
at the end of the year.
Okay,
I mean, Joe's coming in on Thursday. He's not gonna be working on the utilities.
yeah,
He's starting to work on the town side,
okay.
you know, but he's already pulled his samples, what he wants to look at, and we have the planning meeting at 11 o'clock, so,
Right.
you know, he's a little ahead of the game at this point.
Then you're comfortable about the sewer section in the black?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll do it right.
Yeah, I had, about the 1.1 to the city of Danbury.
Yep.
Is that a constant number that we pay quarterly or semi-annually?
Well, you remember the committee had approved the bill last year, and we pay 25% every quarter.
Right.
And they've never said anything about why are you not paying us the full amount, you know.
Okay.
But we'll probably get the next estimated bill in July or August, and I'll present it to the commission, and like last year, you know, you vote on it, and then we just pay once a quarter.
All right, maybe Tom or Kelly can explain something. Is this the charge per gallon that we sent to Danbury, or is that for the capital improvements? That's
No,
all
I
done.
think it's a charge per gallon right now.
Right.
Yeah,
And
So-
there may be some capital improvements, old capital
So-
improvement that's still built into the
It-
calculation.
Is it, all right, so the capital is paid off. So is this actual gallons that we sent to them, or is our allotment gallon?
As far as I know, it's actual gallons.
Actual gallon?
As far as I know.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you got the meters at the different, Kelly, at,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
got three different points where
yeah,
it
where they,
Yeah, no, my question, my thought was, because we have an allocation of 2 million gallons to Danbury, were we paying on the 2 million gallons, or we were paying actual gallonage that we pump to the station? It's what,
I gotta say it's gallons.
That's
It's the
that we
actual
pump.
gallons, yes.
can you confirm that next week?
I don't know if they're billing us in arrears or billing us on an estimate for what you're gonna.
The bill that comes in is an estimate, and then they adjust it afterwards.
after, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, it's just for clarification.
But at the same time, we only pay them on a quarterly basis.
Yeah, right, right.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to invoices. And, to get this started, I'll put a motion on the floor. Excuse me. To approve invoices submitted for approval on this date, June 18th, 2018, in the amount of 17 items in the amount of $315,864.26. For a second?
Second discussion.
Okay. What?
Kelly, on the water main for Greenwood Avenue or alleyway, or what do you want to call it? Yeah. The 10,000, is that all the material now that,
Yes, 10,200 is the material, 841 was doing the tap and an air release tap on the main. The really only outstanding bill, I mean, that's almost $1,000 left, actually $2,000 left. The only other cost would be chlorination and pressure testing, and then we're all set. And that's not gonna be $1,000. So that 12,000 number that we originally had
came pretty close.
Okay.
Right, Tom, there was no other.
It was originally 12, but I think we bumped it to 13.
13.
Because we
correct.
went with a bigger
Yeah.
bank.
Correct.
Yeah, all right.
And they're doing that, they're kind of doing it around the schedule of the restaurant right next door there.
Okay.
You guys still second?
I'm ready.
One request that I got is like when three of our Western Sampson here on number 15. I don't know what percent this is, and Gary seems to be correct. There's a fully paid motion of 100%.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear.
Number 15?
Yeah.
As far as percent in the column, we have certain things here that are blank.
Okay, I saw that and I filled my number in on my copy. They're just starting to bill out now the next I&I study for the 3 sub areas, 9, 12, and 15. The total on that was 261,000. So this number 3,706 is their first bill, represents 1.4%.
Can you just, for now, just see that we just get a percentage, just a guideline?
Yeah, I'll make sure I have that on there.
Any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion on the floor to approve? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Director's report, Tom?
I have a couple of things. The Briarcliff Pump Station, Bob mentioned that the loan was coming in. We did receive the funding agreement from the Health Department. We went ahead, got it signed, and it went back in the mail to them. So we should be, once they get it and sign it, that should be coming through. The DPH consent order for the Briarcliff Pump Station, the violation there was that our pressure was less than 25 PSI. We had a time extension to June 30th to allow True Blue to get that job completed. I needed to put in a request for a time extension. I asked for September 30th. Basically, the issue being, I think with all the storms we had this spring, Eversource is a little bit behind. So we don't have the electric service set up yet, but we're in the process of trying to get them out there to do that. I'm not anticipating any pushback from the health department on that. My other or 2 other items. One was I had mentioned previously the health department was going to be imposing a safe drinking water primacy assessment fee on water utilities. Long story short, their EPA funding over the years has been reduced, and they are looking to recoup some of their costs to regulate utilities by billing it out. They just came up with their price per service connection, which they came up with $2.57. The original proposal was that it was going to be less than $4, so that is the case. So for our 3,300 services, it's going to amount to almost $8,500.
Is that going to be annually?
That would be for the year. They're going to give us an invoice, which we're due to pay half of it by January 1 and the other half by May. And yes, I would say that fee is going to be here to stay. So I think as EPA funding is adjusted and as their expenses are adjusted, I imagine it's going to be close to that number, but I'm not going to hold my breath that it's going to get much lower than that.
Right.
And my last item is the I&I study. A lot of the field work's being done. At this point, the closed circuit TV is about between 50 and 60% completed. The manhole inspections are substantially completed, and the flow isolation work that they did overnight is complete.
We're going to get a summation of this soon, shortly?
Well, basically, the field work has been done by the various contractors. That's all going to go back now to Weston and Sampson, which they'll then, put their report together. So I think that original agreement, they said they would have all of that completed in a 6-month period.
Have they come across anything that was major that needs immediate attention?
They came across a couple of spots that needed some cleaning, so we went ahead and authorized them to do it, but they were good. They let us know, at the time that it was needed. They did find a root mass, which they also found on that same section of pipe. It looks to be a hole in the pipe or a break in the pipe. So they haven't gotten in there yet with their cutter. I think the field guy wanted his supervisor to come up and review with him, and they'll get back to us. And my opinion will be to go ahead and, all right, how can we get this addressed? We don't want to leave it behind. But that sounds like it's going to be a section of pipe that we're going to end up needing to get relined. But so far, no other major alarms have gone off as far as they've reported.
Anything else?
Well, when we get there, but my only other suggestion was going to be on old business. The executive session anticipated,
Yeah.
we may want to make a motion to move that to the end, like we did last time.
Okay.
When we get there, you can,
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
okay. Other than that, I'm all
All
set.
right. You guys have any questions for Tom? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Item number 1. And National Road Extension.
Just as a precursor, they have a planning and zoning application right now, and it entails some affordable housing. So in terms of the zoning regulations, I think really are out the window, and you kind of deal with each application on a case by case. So that being the case, I thought it would be good to just have them in front of PUC to give a brief explanation of the project. The flows look like they're going to be fine as far as the allocation, but since the zoning is a little bit, out of the ordinary, I wanted them to come in.
Okay.
Thank you for seeing me, hearing me. My name is Dinas Verbicus. I'm with Artel Engineering Group, office in Brookfield, Connecticut. I'm a professional engineer, and here on behalf of the applicant, DeMarco Construction and Codfish Hill Construction, DeMarco Holdings. And basically what the proposal is for is a affordable housing, age-restricted development, 1.3 give or take acre parcel of land located just in a little bit of, just to the south of the Bethel Woods development. You can see on this photograph.
Yeah, just the road right where your finger is, that's Nashville, right?
Correct.
Okay. so
Correct.
it's
This is
right by-
Nashville Road, and then here's Nashville Road Extension. You drive past, there's one home on the left-hand side from Columba, is this home, and then we're proposing to work on the next house to the south. So there's an existing home on the property now. As I stated, it's about 1.3 acres in size. The house is located centrally. There used to be a pool. There's a stream that bisects the rear portion or the eastern portion of the site. And what is being proposed is in clusters of residential living units, 12 residential living units. The proposal is to have these homes have kind of a cape style to them. The intention again being to be 55 and older. The thought is to try and keep things all on one level. So these units basically 1 through 9 are about 1,200 square feet in size and footprint. That includes one car garage. They do have the ability to put a second bedroom on the upper level, and maybe a den or a sitting area up on the second level as well. These units on the north side are about 1,440 square feet footprint, with a garage detached or attached to the side rather than being inside the main box as being the difference. And again, these are set up to have everything on one level with the ability to finish off the second story. Each of these is proposed to have 2 bedrooms in it. If we run the calculations at 100 gallons per bedroom per day, we're about 2,400 gallons per day. That's being proposed. Usually with the age restricted, you have less water usage, but just the same to be on the conservative side, you figure on 100 gallons per day. So what we would be proposing to do is extend the sanitary sewer from the existing manhole in Nashville Road Extension, run it up into the site, and then centrally to a terminus manhole prior to going beyond this intermittent water course. And the proposal here is to pump the effluent from each of these 3 units under the brook and then into the receiving manhole and have it all flow out. Similarly, the water main is located in Nashville Road Extension. I believe it's a 12-inch main. We'll be extending into the site, ending it, I think, with a blow-off valve. We had initially shown a hydrant, but it was suggested by the fire department that we put our hydrant at the entry of the site. So for cleansing purposes, we'll put a blow-off valve at the eastern end of the water main. And again, with these 3 units to the rear, we'll run our lateral connections underneath the intermittent water course. And each one will be sleeved so that in the event we need to replace, it makes that a bit easier. And that's it in a nutshell.
These are condos?
Yes.
I missed something at the beginning. You said there was the lower level right there. Was that all 1 bedroom initially with capability of building a 2nd story? Or?
Well, they'll all be built like capes, and the intention right now, it's a little clear, the intention is to just finish the lower level, and should the purchaser want to finish off the 2nd level, you can certainly finish it off, and then the upper level, I wish I had brought the architectural renderings and floor plans, but it basically shows, like on a cape, there's the ability to have a bedroom and a kind of a sitting area and a bathroom upstairs too. So 1 bedroom on a lower,
1 bedroom to start with.
basically, yeah.
This is really from a water point of view,
Potential.
Correct, potential. And that's how we figured our calculations.
That would be the max build out, you're saying?
Yes.
What size is the water line?
Pardon me?
What size is the water line coming into that?
I'm proposing an 8-inch line.
You're gonna get enough for 185?
Should
Not a
have.
total movement, that one?
That's a good question. I didn't check the stagnancy.
I just wondered, when I get that,
Yep.
how much water you gonna get to keep so bad stagnant water with that size line?
It's a great question.
Good
I'll
point.
check
And we
into that.
originally had the hydrant. If we move the hydrant to the road, you probably can get away with a 6-inch line.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Okay.
And what's the depth of the main out in the street?
It's
That's
shallow.
shallow.
That's
a freeze-up
that's the
line.
thing, what's gonna happen there is, when you do the wet tap, actually, you're gonna have to do a test pit, just to
Right.
see what's there. Now, my suggestion in good faith, if you guys have to go out and do a test pit, I'd like you to do it where the services, the water service, because you're gonna have to disconnect it anyway, the main
Okay.
service. But my thought is, if they have, even if they have to put a tap or a valve laying sideways, just to get the water, just to get it tapped, because I don't know how deep it is there. I think it's about 25 inches. So I'm worried about the stem sticking out. So you tap it sideways and then drop it down as soon as you can to at least 4.5 feet, 4 to 4.5 feet.
Right. Yeah, I think we've got 4.5 feet of cover minimum specified.
Well, the reason why the house next door and the house across the street in Markham, they both freeze up in the year unless they keep the water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Markham can hide every year around when it froze up.
And he did put a new line in
And my
there.
sister on the house, they don't keep it moving, it freezes.
So the trick is to tap and drop.
Yeah, as soon as you can get it, even if you're using an offset. And
And
you've
you
got to
can
waste a
offset,
valve
right?
just to get it down.
Yes. Well, the southern and eastern ones are slab on grade, and these will be, they'll have a full basement because of the way the topography falls.
Downstairs, the basement.
Not in these,
You
no.
know what I'm saying, that because that water line is lower than that manhole, you got to put that water down in that sewer line.
Yeah, otherwise, we don't want that kind of pool in a basement.
No, but I mean, yeah, just so you know that.
Okay.
Question, eventually if we go with the water tank and eliminate Chestnut up there, they'll have different water there, so the water won't become stagnated in that line,
Yeah,
so.
different water.
I don't know, I would still like to see an 8-inch line going down there with a hydrant at the end, even though the fire department says it's not requested. And what's your opinion on that?
My opinion is I would want a hydrant at the beginning of the entrance versus the end, but I would put a 2-inch blow off at the end.
Because, you know, the problem that you have is they're not flowing enough water. Figure that line goes in there, they're not flowing enough water. And in
Well,
the summertime, you get stagnated,
yeah.
you get smelly water.
Well, you can always go 8 to the hydrant, then step it down to 6 right after that. But anyhow, that's my feeling on the hydrant. I think it should be at the beginning of the entrance, because the fire truck's not gonna go to the end and then come back. And I think that I've noticed in this town, a lot of the hydrants are at the end of the street, which they're using them as a blow off, but to put a 2-inch air release at the end, I think is probably the way to go.
And you'll benefit the homes that are along Nashville Road Extension with the hydrant
Right.
at the entrance.
Well, they're gonna lay in, and any obstruction that they have, and has nothing to do with us, is they can't make that tower turn around. You can't get in there.
That's why if they
Yeah.
Won't swing.
Actually, we have a,
I know, but you get the 36 inch, you go with it, they have that tower, it's 40.5 feet long. And when you turn that radius, you're not swinging, it stops, so it whips.
right,
It's not a
Gotcha.
continuous turn, it's that type of turn. You go at that end, and you start turning it, see whips. Okay, no problem, just, yeah.
Yes.
Person is, this is within our sewer district, right?
Yes.
How many affordable units are going to be? There's 12 units, how many are going to be affordable?
I believe they're gonna be 3.
And I couldn't see from the map, where's the lines coming in? Are they coming in like the roadways for the project, off to the side?
Yeah, so the water and sewer extension will both come in right up the main driveway that's
And
proposed.
you said they are going to be contracts.
Yes,
And
So
they're
there's going to be
individual.
separate meters for each one of the units.
correct.
Who's
Separate
gonna own the
services,
lines?
separate.
Who's going to own the lines once they come in off the street?
I think that PUC should own the lines, the town should own the lines, so that way there's control. We're proposing easements.
Is it a
Yeah,
regulation?
we just approved.
It's in our regulation.
Metal Ridge.
Yeah.
Metal.
I just want to make
No, but I mean, it's in our regulation, that we own the line.
It's a private road. I was just going with the utilities, owning the utilities
Oh, we own it.
and requesting an easement.
But you got
it.
Yeah.
That's the case, gentlemen, and why is all this argument with Bethel Crossing? Why is this such a big deal with Bethel Crossing?
Because
You
it's
walk
after
to
the
a
fact.
man, we're very upset with the fact that they came in and they expected the town of Bethel to own those
So prior
lines.
to that, Marty, it was up to the time to develop and own the line. That's up to came in originally, we discussed them owning the lines. And then after that, we changed it that we own it. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, let's deal with that separately,
Yeah.
so.
So you got individual water and sewer to each unit,
Yes,
and individual meters to each unit.
exactly.
And your fire hydrant is going to be paid by who, the town?
The developer will put in the hydrant,
No,
for
I'm
sure.
talking about the yearly fee. Okay, just making it clear, so when the subject comes up later on, everybody knows what everybody's doing.
All right, so this doesn't require a vote, this is within rec, right?
It is, other than, the allocation management program talks about like a zone change. It's really not a zone change. It talks about if it's greater than 2,500 gallons per day needing a vote, and it's really not there either. So I just suggested that he come in as a courtesy. So I don't believe we need a vote, but I wanted, the commission to be aware.
Okay.
And this is gonna go before our planning and zoning?
Yeah, currently we're before planning and zoning and before wetlands. We're before inland wetlands, correct. And we're currently working on addressing comments from all review agencies.
What was in that on the water lines again? That's how many bedrooms did you calculate?
2 bedrooms per unit times 12 units, so you're 2,400 gallons a day.
And they actually have a credit, since they're going to demo the existing 3-bedroom home, to do the calculation, you actually get a credit of 300 gallons, so it's a net increase of 2,100.
And the 2-bedroom units on the top should be
But no, there's no provision for the third. I wouldn't want my kids moving back. Love them, but nothing.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Can I
much
just
for
ask
hearing me.
one quick, of you, Dennis, it was to, the PUC, well, the town will own the lines, water and sewer, yes? Just wanted to make sure my,
Yes.
With an
Whatever-
easement.
Whatever our new regs say, I didn't memorize it.
okay. All right, I'll review it then tomorrow.
Yeah, We're going to own it to the curb valve. We'll
Curb
own the
valve.
service to the curb valve.
curb stop, yeah.
And you'll provide the town with an easement.
Yes, provide. And just so I know, the copper to the curb box? and
Correct.
Go plastic the rest of the way?
Correct.
or-
As long as it's grounded.
With the tracer,
10 gauge,
yeah.
10 gauge wire, solid.
Okay.
And
Goes right back to the meter. And you read it.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to old business. Marty, do we have anything to discuss on the property? Go over the-
Just that letter went out, so discussion with the
I was going to leave that option to the commission if that's what they choose.
Well, if there's, do we have anything to discuss? Is what I'm saying, has there been a reply? Because we authorized
Oh,
Marty to.
no reply at this point. The letter's been sent. I think they got it last week.
Okay.
Well, there was one thing that I brought up. How we
All right, well,
can't say it without going to executive.
okay, I'll tell you what, well, if it's all right with you guys, we'll move executive session to the end, is that all right?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just set that aside, we'll do it formally. Item number 2, PUC capital project summary. Marius?
Yep, I'll just go through my handout here. Hodge Hill Water Booster Station, final paving and grading completed. The gates, the front gates are on site. Fence to be installed after the stairs are in. And the aluminum stairs that go from the building are being fabricated. The reason why they need to go back to fabricated because they wanted to wait for the final grading, make sure that all the steps are even and everything. So they sent us some shop drawings for final review after the final grading was established. We reviewed those, we sent it back, I was copying of those. So I talked to them today, they should be done within a week. So once the stairs are installed and here on the site, they're gonna install, the fence and everything else, the gate, so that's moving forward there. The broad,
Anticipate this thing to end.
I wanted it to end 6 months ago.
I live up there, you
If
know.
I could-
People are asking me.
If I could have the power, yeah. No, I think they're pretty close. I think the stairs are the last major items and the gates are in the fence and the grass is coming up pretty good now, so I think
Landscaping's complete.
landscape is complete and, the overflow is done, so I think
Neighbors
they're,
are happy.
yep, neighbors are happy and I
Except
think
that they want to see the outhouse.
Go on.
it's gonna be done after they put the fence up. And I think Kelly's happy with the hydrants up front, the 2 hydrants they put up, so we're almost there.
Kelly, from your point of view, everything is okay?
Yes, yes, I'll get into the forestry part of it later, but yes, yes.
Briarcliff Manor Booster Station construction, so the Poly Water services were installed from the meter pits to all the proposed connection points for each house, so those have been completed. That's done. Restoration of the existing lawns and gravel surfaces was also completed. The booster pump station arrived today, so it's actually on site today, and they're gonna start installing that probably next week sometime. I think they need to do some prep work to tie into the existing water mains. But a good thing, the pump station is on site, and they could actually put it in the ground. So they basically preparing for connecting the pump station to the site. So they need to install 2 manholes for the pressure transducer for the pump station. They're gonna prepare 8x4 tapping sleeve and valve on accession lines. That's scheduled potentially on Friday or Monday. They're gonna coordinate with you, Kelly, to get it installed. And then essentially they're gonna be, putting the pump station in and waiting for Eversource. So they can actually work on the pump station while, we wait for the Eversource. And then, once the Eversource gets the pole in, they can run the new service and connect it to the station. So, already not having the pole there really doesn't slow them down because they can work on other stuff. So really, this is the last major part of the work they have to do besides the electrical work. So I think it's moving forward. And, you know, again, I think Tom put in a call to the Eversource to try to get the updated schedule from them when they're going to be on site doing that work. And
I sent them an email today. They've been pretty good in terms of trying to respond as the town of Bethel's request, so we'll see if they're able to expedite.
Yeah, I can help with that.
Okay, the next one is water main replacement. So we received comments on the initial submitter. We replied to those comments from DPH, and then we're just waiting for the approval letter to go out to bid. When we get the letter, we were able to go within a week with the water mains. So, you know, coordinate with town and Kelly to get it out to bid and get those constructed.
When do you anticipate that?
The latter, I think the comments are very minor, probably within a week from this date. So probably, you know, sometime next week we'll be able to.
Oh, so you haven't responded to their letter
No,
yet?
no, we did. We
you
responded
did?
to the letter, and then we're just waiting for the final approval letter based on our response. So that should be sometime this week, because the comments were minor, so it should be coming.
Yeah, we'll pick a date and we'll
Yeah.
give probably 3 or 4 weeks to review for contractors for a bid
Yeah.
opening.
Is that work that we've got access to a loan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think, was it 250,000? Is that for that one, or that was for? That was for the Briar Cliff.
No, this one was up there around close to $1 million,
Yeah, okay.
900,000
Yeah,
plus.
so it'll be 25%, I think, grant.
25% grant.
For that project, so.
Okay.
So the Bergstrom Field work, so finally we received the permits from the Connecticut DEP we're waiting for, so we can go ahead and, you know, start drilling. We completed the turtle and fish assessments. I guess GZA was out there, we're waiting for the final reports. I guess they did find some fish out there in the stream. We're waiting for the final report, and I can probably distribute the report at the next meeting to see what's going on, but, you know, you're obviously gonna find fish, you know.
Well, what's the potential holdup? Is it the kind of fish?
Well, the kind of fish and the timing and how much really flow or street flow they need to survive, basically, because that's going to limit. So we're waiting for the final report from GZA, and then, you know, we're going to present to the DEP, and then we'll see, you know, what they're going to say. So. So I'll share the report at the next meeting, because we're waiting for the report from DEP. And then, right now, you know, the drilling is scheduled to begin after the 4th of July, and, you know, the driller basically is going to complete it. You know, complete the well drilling in July, and then do the pump test sometime in August. And then we coordinate with the DPH to get them there on site to do the final walkthrough with the proposed well location. You know, we're working with LA to get it out there as soon as possible
All right,
and approve it.
How about, did we get the dirt and blacktop removed from that area?
Yeah, right.
I approached a local contractor, trying to get that material moved at little cost,
Yeah.
and he hasn't had the free time to do that at this
Well,
point.
whose material is it? Did the town dump stuff down there?
I'm not exactly sure the timing and the origin, to be honest with you.
No, I think the town usually can dump stuff down.
Is that from the School Street project?
I don't know.
It's
No, a lot of that's a mixture of all the projects, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Everybody tried to blame me when we did the water main, but there's curbing in there, and the streets that we did had no curb. I think it's a catch-all by everybody. I think some of it came from when they did the bridge. I think some of it did come from my project, even though they did take a lot of stuff away. They were actually down there with a screener, but I don't think you can point the finger at one person. Because like I say, there's a big slab of concrete there. I didn't have any streets with.
That's a lot of material. That had to have been done over a long time period.
A long time.
All right, do we,
My thought is it's not going to hold up the drilling. Eventually, the health department's going to want that material out of there.
That's right.
So-
Well, they've already given us notice, I think, once, a couple of years ago. before we started.
yeah, been a
Okay.
while, yeah.
Rich, you know who I went to was Dayton. They were going to take it and put it through their processor in time, and I just think they got real busy. But that was the one local person that was willing to take it for us.
Well, what about when we go to drill down there? Do we have to make a roadway for the drill rig to get in?
No, he's going to get in, just by itself, it doesn't need a.
They've already
already
drilled
drilled,
multiple test
Yeah,
wells.
they're able
so-
to get in, yeah, just, you might have to take like one little tree down or 2 trees down, maybe.
Yeah, but they're gonna be doing the 12-inch wells or
Right,
something, right?
Right,
Yeah, well, that was just a cap machine they had to go in there to do the test wells.
Okay.
So, you know, they're going in there with a regular drilling rig, so they have to have
I
some
mean,
type of
yeah, I mean, if
roadway
it's
going.
very, I mean, hopefully it's gonna be dry, so they can put some gravel down, but they're not gonna be making.
out, then they have to haul fill back in. You know, so we should coordinate, if they need a pathway
Pathway forward.
done,
Use
maybe
that
we can
material.
use some of that material, you know, sift it out a little bit, and we can use some of that material for a roadway to get the drill rig in. Could you coordinate,
Yeah,
see where,
what
actually
they
where
need,
where he's
sure.
gonna put the well and what has to be done to get there?
Sure, yeah,
Thank
we
you.
can do that, yeah.
We should probably let the DPH individual who's gonna come out and inspect the site, so they're aware of that, so that
Okay.
that doesn't,
Right.
put off
Send a flag, yeah.
a red flag for them,
Yeah.
so that we put it in, and then they tell us we have to take it
Oh,
out.
yeah.
My thought was to try to move that material for as least cost as
Yeah.
possible.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think it should be something to know. If the town private,
Well,
something like that.
we can back charge the town
Yeah,
some of it.
responsibility.
No, I need to get those guys.
Them guys get the hell out.
I think I know where the concrete slab came from, too. They've been reusing those, they came off the old bridge, and
Right.
they reused them downtown, but there's one left over.
Right.
Well, I just
Yeah.
I just sent, Bill will go. We've got. Right.
All right.
Just a couple, one was project here, the SCADA communication study, so the desktop study was completed, and the guys will be here this week on site to basically do field measurements, so they're gonna be traveling with town staff to every site, water, wastewater site, and then, they'll be basically taking the physical measurements and see what's needed, just with the signal, so after that, field work is done, they're gonna be able to provide the report to the PUC, with recommended improvements and what's needed, and how many sites you need, how many repeater sites you need, how many antennas, that's both for water and wastewater pump stations, to kind of move for SCADA.
Do you have any info as to whether Verizon did their field study?
I have no information. I can check with Jim to see if we heard anything from that.
Because they're going to look at it from a cellular standpoint, so at least we'll know what our options are.
But, okay, so that's it, and then I guess Tom's gonna discuss the tank in the exhibit session, so.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right, fog program, that's oils and grease.
Yes, so I've been in a fog the last couple of weeks, and thought I would at least start out with a regulation. So you're only getting it now, so I'm not anticipating a whole lot of discussion or any kind of a decision at this point, but I thought I'd get it to you, and I went through the deep general permit. I did get copies of some plans. Derby had a pretty good program with a lot of information. MDC has information on their website. Danbury has some. So I tried to just pull together, and a lot of it, what everyone has is more or less just another version of what the deep general permit is saying. So we'll need to do more than just have a regulation. We already have a list of restaurants. I've asked the health department to give me at least an update if there's any new ones or any ones that need to come off the list. We probably need some introductory, information to send out to restaurant owners to introduce the program, let them know what's required. So we may need a series of one-page, informational packets as far as who's required to do it, what do they need to do, what kind of maintenance, that type of thing. So I'll continue to work on some of that. But these regs more or less spells out, at least at this point, what I'm proposing to the program to entail.
Okay.
One question, who monitors the DH? You do it once a month, take a sample?
The permit doesn't say that, it just says what the discharge limits are. Even there's a limit on the fog, fats, oil, and grease of 100 milligrams per liter.
Right.
And they give you a test method to follow. That's all really on the restaurant owner. It's really on the applicant.
You should get that pH test done. The reason why you do it, they don't dilute that mix.
Correct.
That's why they do it.
Right, of course.
And they're taking the analyze the thing from that distance.
Yeah, and there's language in there that says that's no go, so.
Well, we know too, but around things happen on the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's going to require an inspection, and it's going to require, you know, someone looking at the plumbing on where it's going to the unit and so
One of
on.
the biggest things, any new restaurants, you gotta look at, everything has to be looked at, the grease lines and sanitary lines, so you don't lose that. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So this will be continued.
Yes, yeah, if you're able to, you know, get back some comments for next meeting, that'd be great.
Why don't we just put it on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah.
All right, good. Kelly, supervisor's report. Let's leave it.
I don't, actually, we got them out leaking. Actually, we have two services leaking right now. We had a leak on Front Street, that got taken care of. Had a leak here on School Street, that got taken care of. There was a leak under Francis J. Clark, the service going in there where the old bakery was, number 7, across from the power equipment place. That's the only one that I can really speak on that was running for a while, because the copper rotted from the outside in. I looked at it thinking that it had to do with straight current. The power comes in totally on the other side of the building. The gas doesn't come in that same point. I just think it was an inferior product. I think there's some non-American copper that may have been used, and this rotted bad, and the water actually was running out into 13 Francis J. Clark. It was coming off the rocks. So that water, it traveled probably 300 feet. And we could pick up a little tinge of pink, but we couldn't find it leaking. I went by there one day, noticed it wasn't running in the ground anymore, and they were excavating up on the top, so they had shut it off. So it was a service. So that was a good find. The School Street one, it actually, the line is in the front of the municipal center. It goes under the road and then goes up and feeds one of the homes in Greenwood. I mean, on Greenwood Avenue, one of the buildings in there. It's a 2-inch line. It had 3 taps going into a 2-inch line and went across. But that got taken care of the same day as Front Street. Again, 7 Francis J. Clark. As I spoke before, we have a service leak at number 10 Nashville Extension. It's not a bad leak, but I'm trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm holding off and hoping that, like I said to the contractor here, that maybe when Bruno comes out and does a test on the main out there, he can disconnect it at the same time. Because he's going to have to do it, because the main is so old that he's going to need the proper OD to get the proper fittings for it. So that was, and then that'll also give us the height. As for flushing, we have 7 hydrants left to do to finish the complete system. The water really wasn't that dirty. It was better than I thought, the amount of time we had. We've got a full inventory of all the hydrants, which, Bob, we're going to find out next year that number is going to probably change for the fiscal year, because there's a lot of hydrants that got added that never got onto the rolls. Okay. Basically, so I mean, I can't even remember what we charged. I think it's like $970 a hydrant, something like that.
928 maybe.
What is it?
928 maybe.
Yeah, some figure like that. But we've got 7 more hydrants to do out, going out toward Wolf Pits. We haven't done the Spring Hill area as well. The reason I say that is because we're trying to fine tune that plant a little bit better, and that's probably going to be within the next week or so. So we're going to do all that together at the same time. And the leak, I'm sorry, let me go back to the leak on 35 Greenwood. I'm sure all of you drove in and saw that. It's actually, I feel it's the 3/4 inch line going across the street, because that's not where the water main is, that's coming up. So instead of trying to open up the whole road and make a repair where the leak is, I've got a contractor coming in tomorrow morning, and hopefully he can pull it from curb to main and just put a whole new line in there, because that's going to be a very expensive patch if we have to pay for that. So that's why you see that running. Other than that, getting back to Hoyts Hill, all said and done, 2 years later, it's quite a plant. I mean, it's we did tests back in January, and what were we flowing over 800 gallons a minute all the way to the top of Spring Hill. That system's never seen that kind of flow. It's really I'm not gonna tell you it's top of the line because of the contractor, but
Well,
it's
it's top of the
definitely
hill.
top of the hill, yeah. But, all in all, it's really, I think it's gonna be a big difference. I think it's gonna be a lot safer for people up there. And I'm not even talking drinking water, I'm talking fire protection.
What do you mean, maintain pressure, we put a big pump station down, when you're running?
It's about 92 pounds coming out. We got 4 coming in, and I think it's 92. It's in the proximity of 90 pounds. It moves a little bit.
Up at Hoyt's,
Yeah.
it's 84.79.
Those are the,
Those are the two,
parameters, right?
yeah.
Right.
It'll maintain, if the pressure drops to 79, one of the smaller pumps, service pumps comes on, and then boosted back up to 84, then your pump is off. So they're running frequently, and they're just they're maintaining.
Are we taking readings on the houses, on the sub-house, and see what we're getting in there?
We have. I
No, the reason
can't.
I'm saying that is, once you get above 70 pounds, you get to try to reduce it all.
Yeah. I haven't looked into that much yet.
I just
But
want to make sure we don't get
yeah.
something at the end, you know what I mean? Over 70
Do,
pounds.
do we need that pressure that high up there?
Yeah, to get to the top. Yeah, because I think we're giving them 40 at the top now.
40 at the top?
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that it's about 40, maybe a little bit higher too.
Right?
I have the hydrant on Taylor Avenue by Tibby's there.
Yep.
That's got the bag over it.
That's out of service because when they extended the main, there was such a mess made the way that our people put it in. I mean, there were all kinds of bends and what have you. I just haven't gotten the time to bring in someone to do it.
We put a new hydrant there.
Yeah. There's probably about 14 hydrants out of service now, and the majority of them are all RD Woods, the old RD Woods. We've got, and getting back to the flushing, as much as I fought it, we flowed the max out of every single hydrant that we could. So we know exactly what each hydrant's given us, as well as the pressure and everything. So we really, we've got some good information.
Yeah, we got a lot of data.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna, when we get done with this and let things settle down, then we're gonna do flow tests at different areas, so we have a little better information.
And that information can go into the hydraulic model, and then we can have that looked at again and just see where
But to
our
be-
strengths and weaknesses are.
To be honest with you, our system, the majority of the hydrants, I'd say over 70% of the hydrants are doing between 11 and 1,200 gallons per minute, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Now, have you flushed down towards St. Mary's Church?
That's the 7 that we're doing tomorrow morning.
After you do that, and you do your water test at that point, you need to see if there's any difference in the readings as far as
What do you know, the TTHMs? Well, you gotta remember too, the TTHMs were coming from Chestnut Ridge.
Right.
And none of this water is Chestnut Ridge water. It's all well water.
Right.
So it's not a concern with the state anymore.
But St. Mary's was.
It was then, but now it's all,
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
when we were bleeding the system,
Right.
that's what was keeping our TTHMs
That's
now.
right.
The
Because
last
we're mixing-
elevated TTHM was January of 16.
There you
Yeah.
So we're pushing all well water over there now?
go.
Put since last July and August.
So we're not using Chestnut at all?
Yeah.
Chestnut, you may do a backwash, a couple backwash, but the majority of it, I mean, what would you say, 95% is well water, maybe even higher?
Yeah, they're doing a backwash a day. And I think there might have been one day or maybe two where the levels in the clear well dropped enough to it actually went in service for a portion of a day
It was like on a weekend.
or
Yeah.
a full day. So
Well, that brings us back to
It's been
10
minimal.
Nashville. I mean, if we're getting good water there, they could go with the 8-inch main up in there. I mean, we just put 1,100 feet of main in to serve 8 houses on Long Meadow.
Well,
That's not the problem.
yeah.
The problem is
it's the amount of flow.
Yeah, we just put 1,100 feet of pipe in for 8 people.
I did that, when you did that, put off the Nashville Road. The bigger the lines you have, you're only flowing it down after 3.5 gallons a minute. That water, when it gets hot in the summertime, if you don't move it enough, you're gonna get bloated. That's all I'm saying. I don't get ready for it, we're the ones stuck with the people running on sneaky water.
I'll double check the length of the main. I think it was, did we figure it was about 300 feet?
Yeah.
So whatever that volume is, And then if 12 homes are gonna use, you know,
Correct.
100 gallons a day, say, each, we could do the math and figure out what the detention time is.
The same question came up with Long Meadow. We just put up 1,100 feet of pipe up there on 10-inch, 8-inch pipe, and then the last 3 houses, we went down to 6-inch pipe.
But it's still, I still argue that point.
But at Long Meadow, you potentially in the future could extend. Whereas this 10 Nashville Road will not extend because it's up against the woods.
Going up to
Anything else, Kelly?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Let me ask a quick question, you asked Matt, along Meadow Road, did we cut into that road up there?
Yeah.
Are we repaving the total road or just patching?
It's actually, what's gonna happen is they're gonna have to do 7 more services, so they have to dig up what they patched away. So I think we're looking at permanent when it's all said and done, am I correct? Yeah, because you got.
But I think Paul's question is, you're not redoing the whole road.
Oh, no.
It's
no.
trench paving
No,
only.
They trenched it really good. I mean, the road's not all broken up, because that road was just redone.
That was only about 3 years
We
old.
kept the length of the main in along the edge of the road, so we only disturbed like a distance of about 5 feet.
Yeah, at the most 6, but it's.
That whole, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the final payment, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to make a motion that we enter executive session, inviting in the town attorney, director of utilities, and the recording secretary. Even though we're not going to take notes. Is there a second?
Good night.
Second.
Thank you.
Take care, Maris.
Bye.
Good night, Kelly.
You're off the hook, Bob.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Take care.
See you tomorrow. Want that before?
Are we recording again? Okay, we are out of executive session. No action needs to be taken, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It carries. Take care of it.